deserve to have the best physical, mental, spiritual. Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Hey, welcome again to Zealous Wellness with your host Mike Hollis. I'll have some co-hosts in here. I'm going to get some people in and get some interviews with some of my good people, my friends that are in the health and wellness industry, also sports. So it'll be a lot of fun later on as we go. But today, I just kind of want to touch upon a couple things. With regards to a system and trust, and really where I'm referring to is like the commitment to trusting yourself in a system. And it really kind of boils down to, obviously I'm going to talk a lot about kicking because that's where I discovered this trust in the system that I was using. It was the mental preparation for me specifically. So, but also I'm going to tie that into just your everyday life and just your health and wellness journey, because it is a commitment. And there's a lot of I don't say entitlement, but there's people that think that they can see the results, or they should see the results sooner than later, and they give up way too early. And so with regards to just the mindset of what it is you're trying to accomplish, and get good at understanding that there's a certain process that's required for whatever it is you're doing. Obviously I'm going to really focus a lot on kicking, but it's in everyday life. And I can tell you, as a retired football player, as a retired kicker in the NFL for 9 years, and of course I did some really cool things, but I can tell you that it's a very big deal with regards to just the mindset. As a kicker, the kicking position, where it's very stressful anyways to begin with. So when it comes down to the difference between a great kicker and a not so great kicker, typically in games, you're gonna discover the difference between the two. It's all up in the head. It really is how you deal with it. I know you've probably heard people talking about, like, it's how you fall off the horse, you get right back on, and just it's not how you the situation that happens, it's how you deal with it. That has a lot to do with your mental abilities and the trust in what it is you're trying to accomplish. So there's a lot of things and a lot of roads, a lot of decisions. I've talked about this before. Every day you have hundreds and hundreds of decisions that you're going to make, maybe even thousands of decisions, small ones, right? That you kind of like, you don't know whether you're going to turn left here or you keep going straight, whatever, you go too fast, too slow in your car. There's a lot of what you're going to put in your mouth, as far as what your temptations are, with sugars and all these sweet foods that are out there for us to consume. And so there's a lot of things that you can, your road on a daily basis is going to take a lot of turns. Now, good turns and maybe some bad turns, but throughout this whole process, you're learning about yourself and learning what works, what doesn't, learning about how you feel about certain things in certain situations. And again, life is a learning experience altogether. So I'll leave it at that before we go into a word from our sponsor. But we're going to definitely, when we come back, we're going to talk a lot about systems and the trust in the system, the commitment to that trust and to that system, and relying on that. And again, it'll take some time, but just understand that when you find those successful systems and processes that you've actually discovered and maybe been taught, you'll be better off if you just rely on that. It's almost like faith. You just have to have faith in God that He's going to take care of some certain problems, certain issues you might have. Just turn it over to God, and He'll take care of the rest. And that's kind of the same kind of concept, and especially with your health and wellness journey as well. So, with that said, here's a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
So let's jump right into it. You clearly know that as a former NFL player, getting into the NFL was a challenge for me. I know I've shared my story many times on how I got there and all the hurdles I had to jump over and the hoops I had to jump through and all that stuff and all the red tape that was associated with all those as well. But um, with regards to just why I believe that I was successful, not only one is the technique that I used. It catered to anybody who wants to use 100% of their body to kick the football, and a lot of it has to do with forward momentum and just a lot of different the different pieces. I say different because it goes against really the common sense kicking attitudes out there and the mentalities of how kickers think the ball is going to go a certain direction because they're athletes and they're able to steer the ball. Okay, so I was an athlete. I'm not going to say I was a great athlete because I wasn't. I was maybe a little bit above average athlete, but lack of my size and lack of my strength and just, compared to the guys in the NFL, clearly, I needed an advantage. And I needed to really make sure that I was taking advantage of whatever I could when I'm kicking the football. And a lot of the form and the technique that I was taught has everything to do with that. So I had to become more or less a mechanical kicker. And so when you have that concept of being very mechanical, and I'll even pull the word out, robotic. You got to feel a little bit robotic because what it is your body is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And obviously as a kicker, you're trying to kick the same ball every time. And so it becomes very challenging at times. And especially the times that you're tested on whether, how important the kick really is. You know, I can give you plenty of examples. One of the biggest ones jumps out at me right now is the fact that back in the day when we were kicking extra points back when I was playing the NFL, they were only 20 yards, and so we had so many kickers making all the extra points or 100% pretty much every season. There's a couple misses here and there, but it was always a given, and so it was kind of like the NFL wanted to make it a little bit more exciting, and so what they did is they moved the ball back on the extra point. Instead of a 20-yard field goal or extra point, it essentially became a 33-yard field goal or extra point, right? So that very first year, there was a lot of misses, and these misses came from, in my opinion, guys that weren't, veterans in the league long enough to kind of just get a good feel for what it is to play in the NFL and how to react to certain adversities and things like that, and how mentally to prepare and all that stuff. So they were typically younger guys, or maybe they were veterans that maybe just didn't have a very good, strong, mental attitude to kicking. And really, what I'm saying is that if you were an athlete and again kicking an extra point from 33 yards, one of the things that you have to understand is embarrassing. I've gone over this before. It's embarrassing to miss an extra point. And so just looking at the stat sheets the next, after the game or even the next day, when you have that knock against you, like you're reading your own stats, you're like, oh, Hollis missed an extra point, kick failed, it's embarrassing, right? It's like, man, that sucks. Everyone's seeing this. I'm embarrassed that I missed that short field goal, right? Or extra point. So really what happened that first year, of course, this is my opinion, but I'm pretty solid on this. I think that these guys, they kick very carefully. They kick not to miss, and that's really not what you normally do. And so, and again, I'm probably repeating myself. I know I've mentioned this before as well, but they tried to kick it differently. In other words, and so when you have that attitude that you're focusing on, trying to make a kick, and if the most important thing for you at that moment is making the kick and not being embarrassed for missing an extra point, your body will revert back to kind of a panic mode, and it'll kick really carefully. You'll do something different. You'll second guess yourself. There's a lot of things going on in the mind that is negative because it actually ultimately ends up hurting you. As much as you don't want to miss this kick, you're actually doing yourself an injustice by trying harder. And that is everyday life, you guys. Every time you get in a situation, even a job interview, you know, you walk into that office, you're preparing, for the job interview, and in your mind, you're thinking, I got to do my best. I've got to be on point today. I've got to do this. I've got to be this. I have to. I have to. I have to. And in reality, you don't have to because you've prepared, especially if you've prepared and you know what answers are good, what you're going to say. Now, they might throw a couple questions at you that you weren't prepared for. Well, guess what? Just like the NFL, you have to adapt. You have to get good at adapting on your feet. And again, the more preparation you have under all circumstances, really, the better you are at repeating or getting in that situation and kind of recognizing that. So you kind of have that sense of security, knowing that, oh, I remember like my practice, kicking a ball, kicking the laces of the football. It's not fun. It doesn't feel great. You can feel them on your foot, but you practice that. You practice kicking the laces on the football when you're kicking a field goal because you never know. You're going to have to kick laces sometimes in a game, maybe. Maybe not these days because these snappers and holders are so good. Snappers are so good they can count the rotations of the ball before it gets to the holder's hands. So they make sure the laces are straightforward, and their holder doesn't have anything to do other than catch the ball and put it down. No spinning, no nothing. So, anyways, side note. But with regards to just kind of the mental attitude, if you are prepared enough and you're confident enough and you can trust what it is that's going to come out of your mouth on in a job interview, or me as a kicker, trust the mechanics to do the work because I've been practicing the same mechanics every single day of practice for years. Okay, so why is it that in an important situation, example, game-winning kick, or again that extra point that a lot of kickers miss that first year, when it comes down to the mindset of those things, you as now kickers are different for the most part with regards to just different positions on the football field. There Our jobs do not change based on the outcome of the game, but whether I'm going to make the kick or not or whatever. Our job is a very very quick 1.3 seconds, the ball's gone. Okay, it's the same thing over and over again, no matter where you are on the field, should be at least. um, you try to kick a ball a little bit harder when you're further back, but you have to trust the process that you've gotten good at trusting. Now, here's the catch. This is a very very bold kind of mindset and thought process. Well, how in the world can you test your mental strength in this situation scenario that I'm really referring to? It's like getting out there and I mentioned this before as well, not caring where the ball goes. It's kind of a weird way of thinking, but if you get that mindset of knowing that you can trust your form and your mechanics are very good, you trust the process, you trust and you commit to it. Commitment is a very, very, very strong word because you're in or you're out. Okay. So once you commit to that, you have to stay in it. Kinda like relationships, right? Once you make that commitment, you're there, right? You've made that commitment, and you're sharing with that person that you are committed to be their person, right? And then committing to other things within the relationship. But getting into the kicking part, you understand as well is that there's a commitment level that you have to abide by and trust when it comes to those situations. But the problem is, how do you test those, and when do you start testing those? When you start testing your commitment and your trust in your technique. Um, so for a kicker, for example, it has everything to do with the process of in a game, like when you're kicking by yourself. There's no, maybe there's some uprights, sure, but there's no game, there's no referees, there's no fans, there's no game clock, there's nobody there. We're not playing a game, it's just you and the ball. You can definitely trust then because it doesn't really matter if you make or miss the kick. It's just like you like kind of learning how to trust your system and your process, right? So you take it in that next step further. Now you're going to test yourself in front of people watching you. Okay, well, these people are watching me. I don't want to embarrass myself by missing a short kick, but I'm going to test myself. I'm going to just trust my form, my technique, and I'm going to rely on of the process, the mechanics that actually make the ball go. And then you get good at that, right? Then the next step. Now you're kicking in front of coaches. Now you're really kind of like, okay, I can't like, for example, every day in practice, they would always chart the field goals because they're always on top of it, making sure that I was, performing at the highest level I could as well. So they're always charting you. So that's another test. You get in a situation where, okay, I'm not playing a game, but it really matters kind of because the coaches are watching you. They want to make sure you're 100% or close to it or, whatever. So you really focus on, trusting that system. And that's that next test. You know where I'm going with the next one. The next one's probably a game. Okay. You're in the middle of a game. It could be the first extra point of the game. You're like, oh, I'm going to just experiment in this kick, or maybe you're up by a bunch of points and it's late in the game and you're kicking the last extra point of the game pretty much for the most part. Yeah, it sucks if you miss it. It's, maybe, coaches will be upset with you, but that is a perfect opportunity. At least you're not going to lose the game. At least you're not going to lose the game for your team. So you can trust yourself knowing that, well, if I screw up, we still win the game. Yes, I'm going to get my butt chewed. Not like you're going to lose your job, of course. And again, you have to have that trust level in your abilities and your position. How well do your coaches trust you and all that. So that's the next step. And then the next step maybe is a field goal in the middle of the game or whatever, right? Well, it still matters. Yes, clearly you got to make the kick. But once you get good at it, and then of course the pinnacle of all tests would be, we'll say, an Adam Vinatieri, game-winning field goal. Like he had a bunch of times. That dude has ice in his veins. That guy, you cannot phase that dude. He is mentally very, very strong. So getting into that's when you're like, okay, well, I know I'm going to make the kick. I just got to trust my process that's going to do the kick for me. And once you second guess yourself and do something different, you still can get lucky. I'm not going to say that I ever second guess myself and and missed all every kick. I've made them, but I know in the back of my mind walking off the field like, whew, I got a little lucky there. I got to really make sure that I'm not going to do that in the next one, right? So when you tie all of that into just the mindset of trusting yourself and the process, there's always a process for anything in life. Well, typically a skill or something, but even like I mentioned, a job interview, there's a process of preparation. And again, the more prepared you are for those situations, the better, more confident you're going to be. The better successful you're probably going to be. The more you're going to have a good feeling going and you won't be as nervous. That's another thing too. Is the more preparation you have in anything that you're doing, the more relaxed you are. And clearly, for kickers, that's a big deal. So when you're talking about your health and wellness journey, you have to trust that when you start eating, I always gave the example of kickers or anybody in general. Like if you're going into an athlete and you want to bench 400 pounds, like, my goal is to bench 400 pounds tomorrow. Well, clearly, if you can't even bench 135 pounds, 400 pounds tomorrow is very unrealistic. Clearly, it's not going to happen. Um, so that's a process of getting stronger. It's going to take time for your muscles to build and them to strengthen up, right? Well, the same thing with your health and wellness journey with regards to maybe a weight loss or something. Now, of course, you want to find the right sort of foods and things that you want to do in lifestyle. Typically, with regards to your workout routine and what you're eating, what you're putting in food, you have to have some knowledge on what it is you're actually putting in your body. But you have to also know that what those things are doing to your body. And I'm definitely one of them. I still can kind of be one of them. One of the kind of people that go to the weight room and go work out and stay active in the gym so that I can eat a little crappy at times. I'm a victim of it. I promise you, I'm not perfect with my diet. But, oh, you're so healthy. I'm like, nah, nah, nah. I got a sweet tooth. I can promise you that. Um, so I definitely try not to, but I do eat junk food at times. Now, clearly, I'm going to tell you so honest to God truth. In the last 4 years, with everything going on, with the COVID, with the vaccines, with all this stuff, like, wait, what? I'm not really sure about that. And you kind of have to sit back and like kind of do your own thinking about some of these things. And I got a lot more conscious of what's really out there. What are we putting in our bodies? Ever since COVID started, because I saw a lot of weird things happening. Like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so you guys probably know where I don't never don't want to get political on these things. So I definitely will stay away from that. But you understand where I'm saying. You understand where I'm going with that. That old saying. Not really old. It's kind of new to me. I heard the other day, not too long ago. It's like if the grocery store has a health food department, what does that make the rest of the store? Well, think about that for a second. Yes, is it all junk then? Like even the produce and just the vegetables and just even the fruit juices and things like that. Oh, they're high. Yeah, they're high in sugar, and they're not really that natural either. Okay, so be careful what you put in your body. But going back to my point, obviously with system and trusting that, and again, the knowledge, the preparation, in this opinion, with regards to this scenario, with regards to health and wellness journey, and really what it is you're eating and all that, and working out, lifting, things like that. You have to understand that there's wrong ways of working out. There's ways that you're not going to get any better, or you may even get injured or whatever. But you have to find the right ways to work out, and you have to work out properly. But also you have to eat properly. So again, you have to do your own your research, and you have to educate yourself on what it is you're putting in your body, what kind of workouts would be good for you. I've had 4 back surgeries, so I've done title boxing for gosh, almost 11 years, maybe going on 12. I don't even know. Whenever they opened, it was a long time ago. And I have over, I guess, 1,100 and almost, I guess, 70. So 1,170 classes of boxing. Okay. I discovered boxing as a workout routine. I'm not punching anybody. I'm just hitting a bag. It's no big deal. I'm punching a 100-pound bag, but I've been doing it for so many years that I enjoy it, and because it's an overall body workout, but it doesn't hurt my back. I've had 4 back surgeries as a kicker in the NFL, and I can't do a lot of different kinds of workouts, CrossFit, those kind of things. So I'm not going to be flipping tires. I can promise you that. I don't want to be doing that because that's probably not good, for my back. Now, so my point really is the fact that when you get good at understanding what works for you, and stick with it, and be confident in it, and know that when when you're starting this health and wellness journey, maybe you've got some sickness, and you're just really having, you're one of those people that's always sick. You got all these ailments, and you're popping these pills that your doctor's telling you to put down your throat, and there's nice little kickbacks for them too. And so there's money is in there's incentives everywhere. Okay, and what's really disturbing is when you see how doctors can be pretty incredibly, especially with those vaccines. There's information you may not even know or heard of before, but I'm telling you right now, I've seen many doctors interviewed saying, "Yeah, we got X amount of dollars for every shot we gave, or X amount of dollars if we did the protocol, the remdesivir and all that, and the vents and all the stuff that they did with the COVID patients. They got incentivized for that." Again, I'm not going to get political and into this whole race, but you understand where I'm going with that. There's some negativity in there because big pharma has such a control over the medical industry. It really does. Do some research. Find out where's the source of the medical information being taught. Okay, just do some research on where that's found, and why is it so important that these families and people have such an influence on the medical information that's being taught at medical schools. Well, they're loaded. They have lots of money, so they wanted that money is power in those people's mind. So they're gonna convince the world, and I'm not joking. They're gonna convince the world that this is the way that we need to study um, um, medical issues, and we need to teach people how to deal with these medical issues by doing this, and these pills are for that. And of course, big Pfizer's been around for 170 something years, 175 years, something like that. They have not cured one disease. That should tell you something right there. So again, getting sidetracked, but going into my point with regards to just that mindset of commitment and system and process, that's really what makes your world turn. Okay, you develop a system. You grow as a person every single day, and so what you don't realize is there's certain things that you do on a daily basis that have become kind of ritualistic, maybe, or a system. You have coffee every day in the morning. Well, that's kind of a maybe an addiction too, but that's a system. I mean, it's a process. You don't feel the same. Oh man, I forgot my cup of coffee. Whatever it is you do on a daily basis, you've developed that over time because you've repeated certain things. Now, you could be on the other end of the spectrum where you're not healthy at all, and you wonder why. I keep doing these things. And again, if you don't know what it is you're doing for yourself, and you're not educated yourself, not educating yourself at all, and not knowing what's good or bad for you, then you won't really know. Now, I know so that there's a lot of things out there that are advertising against. The medical industry is a big business, and you know I'm a firm believer now. Again, I'm not going to get political with this, but I kind of am that they want us sick. I mean, because there's no money in healthy people. There's none. What's big pharma going to do at that point? They can't. There's nobody's going to need pills. Diabetics are getting. This company three that I'm with. We have epigenetic studies that show that these products are actually influencing our genes in very positive ways. They're down regulating or turning down inflammatory genes, and they're upregulating or turning on or turning on these genes that need to be upregulated for proper health. And one of them is the GLP-1. People ask me like, "Oh, what GLP-1? Do you have that in your product?" GLP-1 is a gene, and there's these things that affect the GLP-1 gene in a positive way, and that's what this GLP-1 craze is right now. You're not injecting yourself with GLP-1. I think they're antigens or something like that that actually stimulate the GLP gene itself, and that's what affects your body. Okay, so and going back to my point, the company three, with the proactive wellness products that we have, we're getting diabetics that actually don't need their insulin anymore. They don't need their medications anymore because they've gotten that GLP-1 gene under control. Okay, that Ozempic, that's its primary target is to regulate the GLP-1 gene. Well, we do ours naturally. Our food, and again, it is food. These supplements are food. You're literally eating food, but it's good, phytonutrient rich, medicinal rich, powerful food molecules that do good for your body. Plus, we add the absorption technologies too. So that's even better because now you're getting those molecules absorbed in your cells instead of flushed right through your system and into the toilet like what you thought was a real strong vitamin. You looked in the toilet a couple hours later after you took it and you're like, wow, that was a strong vitamin. That water, that toilet water is really bright yellow. It's almost like neon. Like, no, that's not a good vitamin. You're looking at it. It's become toilet water now. So you've just spent all that money on that vitamin you thought was really strong, but you're looking at it. It's down there in the toilet now, right through your body. So there's still a lot of education, a lot of things to learn about what it is that makes us operate. And I'm telling you, from my personal experience and having a system and kicking and trusting the system and kicking, then you've reverted into like the system of getting in shape and staying in shape and watching your health because that's part of your job. That was part of my job for many, many years in the football industry, clearly. Well, now that my back is the way it is, and I can't ever reverse time and go back and do anything different. I have to deal with my back. And so I think, based on my experiences, again, I've learned from the experiences knowing that if I don't work out, my back starts to hurt. If I do workouts that are probably not good for my body, like, you know, CrossFit or things like that, I probably will hurt. So I have to find the right kind of workouts. I have to find, the good nutrition. I got to take care of my body because of the way my back feels. I want to make sure that I'm not going to be in pain. I've got to do a little extra careful, special work on myself, to keep me, pain free for my back. So I find, of course, going back to this whole supplement thing, and product driven, companies and things like that, where as a former player, and even during one of the time I was playing, like metrics, I got a little endorsement by metrics and I got all these little things. Mark Brunell had an endorsement with Snickers. So, of course, here I am with a sweet tooth. And he goes, "Hey guys, anytime you guys need a Snickers, man, just open up my locker. They're right there." So of course I dipped in there a couple of times, had some stickers on compliments of Mark Brunell. But again, we had opportunities to try a lot of different products, and everyone's knocking at your door because, of course, they want your endorsement, they want your support because you're a professional athlete. You're not the light, and you're in the spotlight, and people are looking at you. And of course, they're going to kind of okay, well, they were going to maybe do what you do because you're a professional athlete. Okay, well, fast forward until just 2 years ago, I had been introduced to a lot of different products all over the place from a lot of different people, a lot of different companies. None of them actually really did much for me. I did a CBD company before the 3 International, where I'm with now, but yeah, okay, CBD is a new thing, and I kind of learned a lot about it. And okay, it's doing some things to the body. It's we have endorphins in our bodies. We have all kinds of things in our bodies, cannabinoids, we'll say. I know those kind of technical terms, but I learned a lot back then, and I know that in our bodies there's a lot of natural things that we're meant to. Our bodies are meant to heal itself. Okay, your body should heal itself, and when you're adding all these things that are not natural, and I'm not kidding when I say they're not natural, they're synthetically made. Bodies don't really go well with that. If you're eating really crappy food, it's not plant food. It's not even real meat sometimes, like at Taco Bells and things like that. You look at the stuff that they're putting in their ingredients. It's like, wow, why is it? And again, there's some addiction ingredients that they put in there. Um, I know that there's one of the families that had responsible for the tobacco industry was hired by the food industry because, well, tobacco and cigarettes are addictive. Well, there's certain things and chemicals within those cigarettes that make them addictive because, again, it's all about money. That tobacco industry is very wealthy. I don't know how much longer that'll be though, because people kind of have woken up and say, "Well, I don't want to die." Clearly it's causing lung cancer, and people know that, but they still smoke. So, but my point is that that same family was hired by the food industry. Like, well, you can make the foods addictive then, right? Oh yeah, we'll add this and we'll add that, and that's a really addictive, ingredient that we're going to put in there, and people are going to want to buy your food all the time. They make the cereals and all these little, kid stuff, the gummies and the little fruit roll ups and things like that. Bright, bright colors, and the kids, oh my gosh, look at how great this looks! Great, this looks so yummy, and it is yummy. I was addicted to Fruity Pebbles for a long time. I hate to even admit that, but yes, Fruity Pebbles. I loved Fruity Pebbles, but I don't eat Fruity Pebbles anymore. And I was a big cereal kid when I was younger, and even when I was an adult, I loved cereal because it was very convenient. It was tasty, right? But again, go back to a couple episodes ago on the podcast, I mentioned that they were trying to put cereal on the food pyramid. What? Cereal on the food pyramid? That's ludicrous. It's not even a real thing. It's processed food. Is it food? I don't even know what's in it. It's a lot of sugars, tons of sugars. And again, going into that again, I'm going into little sidetracks here, but things that come to my mind, like you think of like when people thought, oh, we're eating too much fat. Well, we need to take the fat out of the foods. Okay, so stop putting so much fat in the foods. Okay, we'll do that, but we're going to replace. We got to still make that because fat was addicting, right? That made food taste really good. Well, you know what else makes food taste really good? Sugar. So guess what they did? They took the fat out, but then they added sugars to it. So they make it, oh, we'll just change gears here and we'll do something else that's addictive. And so now, America is the most obese country in the world. We have the most processed foods, most ingredients on food labels than any other country in different, parts of the world. There's something to say about that. It's all about who's controlling our food sources, who's controlling our education, we'll say, who's controlling our medical education. I know that for a fact that there's a lot of things that are not natural. And again, going back to back in the days, they called them remedies. When you had an issue and you had to find a remedy that was going to fix a headache, it was all plant based, natural stuff, honey, or things that they would throw together to make a headache go away. Well, now you just pop a pill. And again, oh, that worked. That worked great. And pills, Advil. I was on Advil for 35 plus years. I took Advil for 35 or more years of my life. My liver absolutely hated me. Well, guess what? Going back to my company 3 that I'm with right now, I don't take Advil anymore. I take a natural supplement that's plant-based, that has absorption technologies, that actually gets the curcumin and other things that are in that product, the turmeric, obviously curcumin, gets that into the cells of my body, and it's able to do what it's supposed to do. Then you add the epigenetics properties on top of that. Then the superoxide study that we did showing that this one product called Revive, which has replaced my Advil. I don't take Advil anymore because of Revive and the epigenetics properties, and also from the Revive, the superoxide study we did as well, showing that our product, that Revive, actually decreased the natural production of superoxides in our bodies. And when you have too much production of superoxides in your bodies, it causes inflammation. So I think it was like it decreased the superoxide production by 36%, which meant that that's going to decrease inflammation. Okay, so we are finding out new ways to deal with. Well, I say new, but they're probably not new. I mean, you go back years ago, food was being used, but all these new things, and we're discovering new molecules too. So there's a lot of cool things happening in the food industries and in the world today. And I'm with RFK getting in, hopefully getting in and all that he's going to change a lot of our mindsets on how we deal with stuff. So um, understand, in order for you to be and feel healthy and be happy, be active, it's gonna take some commitment, okay? It's gonna take a process of learning about yourself. If you're doing a skill or whatever it is you're doing, you're just running throughout your daily life routine. You've developed that. It could be a it could be a good routine. It could be a bad routine. But when you understand what makes your body healthy, what makes you feel good, what makes you happy, you will understand and you'll kind of learn that, and you'll create your own little process. And especially after you've educated yourself and knowing the difference between these oils that people are cooking with, and coconut oil versus all these seed oils, just nasty stuff. And until we actually realize how horrible those things are for you, you gotta educate yourself and understand that. But in the meantime, if you don't, you're making your body worse. And again, they talk about, oh yeah, well those supplements are, not ours really, but no, supplements are expensive. It's just too much money to be, to be supplementing extra stuff into your diet. Well, how's your health care? How much money is that going to cost you later on down the road when you're like sick because of the crappy food you ate because you want to save money? It's a real question. It really is. Like, which way do you want? Choose your hard. Choose your suck. In other words, there's a lot of things that suck out there. Well, but being wealthy sucks sometimes because it requires a lot of commitment and responsibilities and 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 accountability. Okay, but also being rich is fun. Yeah, you got money, great, awesome, good for you. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you have to choose your heart. Being depressed is hard. Well, it's hard to be, sometimes it's hard to get out of depression and be happy. But again, you'll be thankful for it. You'll be thankful that you made those moves and changed the process and committed to a new system or a process that works. Again, I'm tying both in with kicking and lifestyle stuff, all health and wellness journeys, lifting, getting in shape. It sucks getting into shape, and I've done it a few times. I did a little yo-yo thing. I went through my divorce. I got heavy because food was my vice. I went to food because that made me feel comfortable, and I didn't want to work out because I had no motivation whatsoever. So I got fat. And guess what else I did? I got my back was hurting. I was depressed. I was like, I didn't like myself, and so I had to do something about it. And then fast forward a few years later, maybe 5, 6 years later, I got in another, hole, we'll say, and just didn't really feel good about myself. I got a little heavy again, got lazy, and then I realized, oh yeah, this sucks. I don't like this. I'm going to choose a different hard. I'm going to go with the hard that's going to make me feel better in the long run. But again, it requires a process, and don't give up. That's where people get messed up, where they think, "Oh, I'm going to get on this diet." They're on it for a week. I didn't see any change. I didn't feel any better. Do you realize what you're doing? The molecular structures, your cells, and how quickly long time they rejuvenate, and they actually die, and new cells form. And there's a process. When you do a fast, think about that. When you're doing a fast, you're killing a lot of cells, cancer cells included. Okay, think about that one for a second. Okay, that's why people do fasting, because you basically get a reset on your body. So, with that said, just understand life can be tough, okay, but choose your tough. Okay, you can be happy, but you've gone through some experiences that were tough, but you got to be thankful for it and look at the bright side at the very end of your journey, getting into your, I don't say end, because you're always trying to stay healthy and active and all that. There's never going to be an end, but it's going to be a lot easier. Even with that boxing stuff I did, when I first started doing boxing classes, I was like, this is so hard. I don't know if I can do this, and I was clearly out of shape, of course. So it was very difficult for me, but I stuck with it. Okay. So I'm glad I did. And you will too. When you find out what it is that's going to make you feel better, make you healthier, find that journey, the 3 Proactive Wellness company and the products that I offer have changed my life, not just with that revive and getting me off Advil, but a lot of different other things too, because of the epigenetics and getting my body back to homeostasis, which is, our natural well-being, the way we're supposed to be on a daily basis. We have a lot of things that affect that, pollutants and microplastics and things like that, things that we're consuming, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, all kinds of stuff. So with that said, just understand life can be tough, but it can be very, very, very rewarding. But it does take work. Getting into the NFL was not easy. I had to work, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears doing it. Okay. But it was worth it. I would not change a thing. I would do it all over again. Okay. So just understand, success in life, in whatever it is your journey is, whether it's health and wellness, journey, fitness journey, sports journey, career journey, whatever it is, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge at times. But again, if you're passionate about it and you understand what the end result's going to be, if you just embrace the suck, okay, embrace the suck, choose your heart. It's okay. It'll be hard for a while, but you'll be happy and thankful for it. So, awesome. I hope you guys have an incredible night, and I'm really enjoying these. I really enjoy talking about things like this, and definitely look forward to seeing you guys again next Monday night at 5:30. So, with that said, I'm Mike Hollis with Zealous Wellness, and we will see you guys next Monday night at 5:30 Eastern. Take care.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.